Good things come to people who wait, but better things come to those who go out and get them. I invite Ms. G. Kirtana, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of English, to introduce the chief guest. Please, ma'am.
A delightful morning to one and all gathered here. It's my honor and privilege to introduce the keynote speaker of the session, Dr. Justin James. Dr. Justin James is a faculty of English and e-learning coordinator at the University of Technology and Applied Sciences, Sultanate of Oman. He is an expert in English as a second language teacher with a TESOL certificate from the American TESOL Institute, Florida. He is trained in using ICT for language teaching and holds a certificate awarded by Trinity College London. Dr. Justin has many international publications to his credit. He has received several awards, including the Best Teacher Award and Best Researcher Award. He has carried out projects funded by the Research Council of Oman, Government of Sultanate of Oman. In addition, he is a designated foreign examiner for PhD research in ELT and English literature for Bardiyar University, Periyar University, Vellore Institute of Technology, Gandhigram Rural Deemed University, and the University of Madras. He has also been an editorial board member and research reviewer in various international journals. He has also acted as keynote speaker and resource person in various international faculty development programs and webinars. He also holds membership in LTI, English Language Teachers Association of India, and a life member in American Studies and Research Center, Hyderabad, India. With great exaltation on behalf of the management and our department, I thank Dr. Justin James for having readily accepted our invitation. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot for inviting me. So let me first share my PPT and check it. Hope my PPT is visible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, shall we start?
Yes, sir.
So at the outset, I extend my warm greetings to all the participants, the organizers, and the management of the college. So the topic I am going to discuss today is teaching English language to digital natives in the post-pandemic scenario. So the purpose of this lecture is to analyze and understand how a teacher can effectively teach digital native students. And the target audience is English language teachers, teacher trainees, and research scholars. Of course, you're all there. Just before joining, I just randomly went through the names of the participants. Some of you are familiar to me. Some of the names are familiar to me. So I think you have attended my previous sessions. Welcome back once again. So this is my plan for today's lecture. So I'm going to discuss who is a digital immigrant, who is a digital native, how do people generally learn, and what are the 21st skills expected from a graduate student. How do digital natives learn? How can teachers help students acquire the needed skills? And the conclusion. So, to begin with, as you all would agree with me, teaching in a post-pandemic world is a challenging task. I think someone's microphone is on. Can you check and alert the participant to?
Mr. Pujan Parikh, kindly mute yourself.
Yeah, some music. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So it is a challenging task to teach in the post-pandemic world because students are exposed to a lot of technology as well as they enjoy a lot of leisure at home. So these two things are a big challenge to us. Bringing back students again to our classroom and making them sit and listen and interact with us and learn. So the most important challenge is catering to the needs of our students. So the basic thing is it is important for us to understand how they are learning, to understand how they learn. That would help us to teach effectively. So the first and foremost thing we need to do is to understand the learning styles of our students so that we can prepare effective, fruitful teaching materials and deliver them in a manner that maximizes the learning of our students. So before going to the main presentation, I would like to discuss the need for understanding the learning styles of our students. These are two scenarios. Our education system is at fault, so what can I do about it? So most of the time, we teachers are limited by what is there in the system from where we are trying to do our job as a teacher. So the system is, we blame the system and we try to pass the bucks and say that we are not responsible for what is happening. But in the second scenario, there is another approach, a rather positive approach where we can do things in a better way by understanding is that the system may be at fault, but as a teacher, I can bring a change to my classroom. So by taking responsibility and planning, we can try to make some changes to the existing scenario and try to be very positive and be effective teachers. Now look at this picture. So this is a picture of a digital native, as child born right from the birth. The child is exposed to technology. This is the prevalent situation. All our students, those who are in graduate school now, are digital natives. They are born with computers and other gadgets, and they are familiar with them. So who is a digital immigrant? We teachers, those who are born before 1980s. I think most of the teachers in the department are born later, and they don't come under this category. And those who are born before 1980s, before the advent of technology, we are called digital immigrants. We immigrated from a non-digital situation to a digital situation. So we had to struggle and learn a lot of new things to adjust to the present society, as well as to the present needs of the students. Just opposite are the digital natives. They are children born into the world with computer games, digital music, video cams, cell phones, and other modern technological toys. So they are young people born in the last 2 decades of 20th century. They are products of the new culture and also the aggressive penetration of technology and the impact of COVID-19, where they were forced to stay at home and explore new technology. So our students are well versed with using internet technology today. So they are all digital natives. So This is a very important question. Is it important to know how digital natives learn? So it is, of course, important to know how our students learn. So once we know that, it will be easy for us to uh, deliver our content and be successful as a teacher. I think some people are already in a hurry asking for feedback link. So I think normally they send the feedback link at the end of the lecture. So kindly be patient. Um, so if you are accepting our role as a facilitator, one who facilitate learning, then we should understand or develop a good understanding of how our students learn. This will also improve our teaching practice and make us more effective, and this will in turn maximize the learning of our students. Look at this picture, and can you wonder what exactly is doing there? And if you have some responses, you can just type it on the chat box so I can read and respond. What do you think of this picture? What do you think is he doing there? This is a picture of a student from my university standing on the veranda after the class hours. So he doesn't have time to eat. He's so busy, right? Okay, can you? Yes, Mr. Prabhakaran, that is correct. He's using a mobile while he's having a soft drink. Drinking, yes. What do you call it when someone is doing more than one activity at a time? Multitasking, that's correct. So he's multitasking actually. So doing, too many things simultaneously. So he's multitasking. So most of our digital native students are capable of multitasking, whereas digital immigrants like me are not very good in multitasking. So even handling two devices simultaneously for doing a presentation is a bit of a struggle for me. Whereas in my place, a 20-year-old student would operate two or three machines or gadgets simultaneously without any problem. Okay, let me move on. So this is one particular thing we have to understand about our students. They are good at multitasking. Okay, he's concentrating on the digital media. Okay, he didn't concentrate on drinking. So do we need to concentrate while we drink something? So what needs more attention? So this is again a thing we have to understand. So what comes naturally, spontaneously, you can drink something. You don't need to apply your brain to have a soft drink. Depends on the drink. Okay, I agree. So now let us have some discussion on how do people learn. So these are some of the learning theories I'm going to discuss next. John Watson. So he talks about behaviorism. One thing is gaining attention. So the moment students get attention from the teacher, whoever is presenting the lesson, they become alert and they involve themselves to learn. Second one is creating a kind of expectancy among the learners, informing the learner of the objective of the lesson, why he or she is going to learn this, how learning this particular lesson is going to help them. So creating a kind of expectancy among the students would also help students learn better. So memory retrieval. So stimulating recall is a prerequisite for learning. So when we are teaching, then and there, if we are asking some WH questions to students and trying to find out whether they retain anything you discussed in the class by way of recalling their memory, it will also help them to learn better. The next one is very important, presenting stimulus materials. So what kind of materials we are presenting in the class, that is also very important. So if you are presenting only the dry textbooks, reading from the textbooks or reading from the notes, it is not going to help much. So therefore, it is important for us to present stimulus materials. Providing learning guidance. So why, learning guidance is also important. Many graduate students may not know how to make notes from a class lecture. So if you teach them how to make lecture notes, that will be a good guidance for them. Subsequently, they'll be able to write notes from your lecture or notes from your lesson. So providing very good learning guidance is also very important. Then eliciting performance. Again, asking them questions, trying to involve them in the lecture and try to, ask them to predict what they are going to learn next or what is going to be the outcome. These things would help us to engage them. Then providing feedback. This is one of the most important aspects of teaching. When you are eliciting a performance, you can provide feedback to the students in the form of appreciation or in the form of asking the students to read more or look at more references or refer to a dictionary for understanding a particular word. So providing feedback will also help them to learn better. Then assessing the performance. This is in the form of a small test or at the end of the class or at the end of the week, we can assess their learning by conducting a test. Then also what happens in turn when we follow all these things, the knowledge or the things they learned, it is retained in their mind and that will be transferred to the job at the end. I mean, whatever the job be, whether passing the examination or passing an interview or doing a job, they got performing well in their profession. So all these things happen only when we follow these learning methods and either directly or indirectly see that the students get this kind of assistance from the teacher. Another method of learning is 5E instructional method. So engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. And this is also a good method of learning or a good method of teaching. So let me demonstrate this with an example. I have a quote here. Happiness is not the mere possession of money. It lies in the joy of achievement. This is from Franklin Roosevelt. Now, if we are presenting this particular quote to the students and you want them to analyze, understand the impact of this quote, you can use this 5E learning method. The first one is by engaging them by asking a question. What is Roosevelt saying in this quote? So to understand the meaning, to check whether they understood the meaning of this quote. Next is you can extend the understanding by asking a question that explore other possibilities of the meaning. Do you agree with him? If you are agreeing with him, why? If you are not agreeing, why not? Why you are not agreeing with him? So this will further engage the student and make him explore, think a little bit more and try to understand the impact of the quote you are presenting before the student. I mean, I am taking this quote as an example for a lesson. Okay, so any lesson for if you are teaching a poem or a novel, whatever it is. So you can use this particular methodology to engage them in learning. The third is explaining. Again, you can explain the quote by asking these questions. What are your thoughts about money and happiness? Are these two things related? Do you think money is necessary for happiness? Again, expanding it further. So automatically these students will generate a lot of language activity. So they will give their opinion in the class. They will speak, and a lot of discussions can be generated using these questions. Again, you can further it by elaborating. What if a large group of people in one place or a country lack the money they need to survive? How does this affect their happiness? So if all the people in a country are poor, from a general to a particular focusing, bringing back our students to their own situation, what's happening in their country, in their society. If there are a large number of poor people without money, whether it will affect their happiness, the lack of money, will it affect their happiness? Again, it will generate a lot of thoughts, discussions. And finally, you move on to the last E, evaluate. What do you think a government should do if the people in their country do not have the money they need for survival? You are moving towards a kind of critical thinking where people are, the students are engaged to understand or analyze and make a decision about the code discussed. So when we follow this particular methodology, students not only learn the meaning of the quote, but how relevant the quote is to their life situation. So this is how one need to connect what we teach to our students. When the information we give, the lessons we teach directly connects with their life, naturally they will show more interest in learning. So this is one of the learning styles of digital natives. They are very curious, and when the lesson is relevant to their lives, they learn better. Now let us move on to 12 core abilities. So you can have a look at these abilities, read them, and reflect over it for a minute. Do you agree with me? Our graduates need to have all these skills to survive in this world, both professionally and personally. Yeah, it is important. Thank you. So it is very important. Um, It is the responsibility of schools and educators, schools means colleges, educational institutions, to teach and nurture them by using appropriate curricula and teaching methods. So only through appropriate curriculum and effective teaching methodology, we can instill or inspire our students to develop these core 21st century skills among our students. So I need not explain much about this, and as teachers, I think all of you know these things. So I'm skipping the explanation. So mainly the top on is critical thinking. It is very important, and collaboration. This is something very important. Collaboration means to learn to work with others. Um, Earlier, we learned to work as individuals, and we need to show our individual ability. Today, in any job situation, even in our families, collaboration is very, very important. When it comes to technology, education, media, these are all important. Flexibility, another important skill. Being flexible is the last one is also more something very important, developing social skills, interacting with people. Interacting not only with people of your profession, but also people from any walk of life. One should be able to interact. So that's why social skills are also very important. Let us move on to the learning styles of digital natives. Now, please have a look at this picture and tell me what you see there. Can you interpret this picture? Self-reading. So I'm getting only one response. Is this picture so difficult to interpret? Self-exploration. Okay. Yeah, self-exploration. Okay. Look at the head. Head is in their hands and the book is on their neck. More engrossment. Okay. So I would say it is students taking learning into their hands. So their learning, the responsibility of their own learning is in their hands. They want to take the responsibility of learning in their hands. They are more uh, independent than dependent, like uh, students of 2 or 3 decades back. So we were depending on our teachers a lot, whereas today our students depend on themselves. So these are some of the statistics, which was from 2001. Now you can multiply it and understand how much, net hours, how much time our students are spending with technology on their phone, on internet, email, WhatsApp. Um, these are the things which we need to understand how many hours they are engaged using online contents. So these are some of the things we need to understand. So the world has changed fundamentally, and our students also have moved into the information age. So, if any student is coming to a college or university to learn a language, particularly English, I would say he's wasting his time, because you don't need to go to a college or university to learn English, because you have much more effective materials available on the net. Just YouTube is enough if they know how rightly use the lessons that are there in the YouTube and dedicate 1 or 2 hours each day. They can learn English much better than they learn in the university. And, my statement is a very challenging statement. I understand. So as an English teacher, making a statement like this is very dangerous to our own profession, isn't it? So you don't need to go to a college actually with the kind of materials available. So This is a very challenging thing for English teachers today. So their learning styles are different, and the school classroom design is not suitable for our students. So we design our classrooms um, on a traditional way. So the seating arrangements and all those things. So that also don't help the current students. We need to have different seating arrangements where they can sit in groups, look at each other, interact with each other, not only with the teacher, but also with their classmates. So another thing is teacher talking in the classroom. So it need to be changed. So most of the ELT professionals advise that any English language classroom, if a teacher is teaching more than 20% of the class time, that teacher is not very effective. So you can't be an effective teacher if you talk all the time in the classroom. So some of the more critical aspects of information age. So these are the things the teachers or learners need to consider. So it has affected online digital materials have changed the thinking patterns of young people. So they are growing much faster and radically different uh, when compared to kids of 10 or 15 years back. So they are exposed to online digital tools their entire life, and they are using all these gadgets. And they are also very comfortable with powerful software tools and allow them to, and they network with others. And if you are giving an assignment, even if it is an individual assignment, do you think they are going to sit and write it alone? No, they'll be using WhatsApp, Instagram, and all, collect information from other students. Maybe one student write the report, other students modify it and submit it to you. So all these things are possible today because of the technology and the information age. So we need to understand this also. So therefore, when we provide them with assignments, it should be more challenging and more effective. Then this is also very important. It's a challenge for all the teachers. If we teach today's students as yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. We rob them of tomorrow because we fail to equip them with a core set of skills that they need to survive in today's workplace and for their lifelong learning and productive citizenship. This is another another way of looking at this particular quote is that, are you sure what kind of jobs your students are going to take in next 5 years? How many of you are sure? I am not sure what kind of jobs our students are going to take. So therefore, it's a great challenge for us to, prepare our students for an uncertain future. So this is, as language teachers, this is a very big challenge. The kind of communication and the kind of jobs they take up in next 5 years is going to be totally different from the kinds of job that people are doing now. So the only way to help them learn is to change the way we teach and what we teach. Now I am discussing mostly the theoretical ideas, but my presentation ends with example how a teacher can generate very interesting materials, or how he can or she can create a very interactive, interesting class. So therefore, my aim here is to give you some background information, then try to tell you how this can be incorporated in our teaching. This can happen only after understanding the learning styles of our students. So these are some of the core ideas. So they need a lot of freedom. You cannot restrict them much. And they like to customize things. And they like to talk to people. And if you are teaching in a conversational style, they enjoyed more than a lecture. The next point is very important. They will scrutinize you and your organization. So they insist on integrity and openness. How you are organizing your materials as a teacher, how you are organizing your classes. So they will understand very well whether you have come prepared to class, whether you have enough knowledge, whether you have done enough homework before you start the lesson itself. Look at this picture. These students want more one-to-one interaction. So this is a teacher discussing a lesson. He's one of my colleagues. We share the same office, and when he was discussing a lesson with his student, I asked his permission and clicked this picture just to, just to demonstrate how digital natives like to learn. So they would like to have one-to-one attention. And also, look at the position. They said, both of them have the same chair. They are sitting on an equal platform. Unlike the students of yesteryears, they come and stand. Even if a teacher offers a chair, he or she won't sit. Today, even if you don't offer a chair, they will pull the chair and sit with you and, try to discuss things with you. And so these are some of the changes. So these are all some of the sociological changes that are taking place in our society. This picture is from Oman. At the same time, this same thing are expected from teachers in our country also. So if you can treat them well, respect them, they will adore you. So another idea is that they want to have fun, even at work, at school. They need speed and innovations. And having fun, this is another important thing. Today, you cannot separate work from your home. People started working from home. You need to enjoy everything. You need to have your lunch, have interaction with your family. Even at workplace, you have to, you cannot separate holidays from work. So therefore, with internet technology, whatever work you do, it follows you everywhere. So you have to combine both. And they try to communicate, and innovation is also part of their life. Now, what we can do as teachers to cater to the needs of these digital native students? Teachers should learn to communicate in the language and style of the digital natives. Language means the way they try to interact with us. We need to, you cannot be on a higher pedestal and treat them like idiots. You have to, they may know much better than us because of access to internet and Google. So we have to treat them on par with us. And also you have to examine the content and curriculum which we, whatever we are teaching, to modify that in order to suit the needs of the people. And 2 weeks before, I had a meeting with one of the colleges in Trichy, Board of Studies meeting, both PG and UG. I was surprised to see they have, the same syllabus I studied in 1983 for BA students. So I did my BA in Trichy in 1983. They have the same syllabus. 70% of the syllabus is same. So and then I suggested some changes here and there, and they are hesitant to change, but they understand the issue. So therefore, changes in curriculum is also very important. And embedding digital technology using digital content is also very important. For example, see, I am here giving you a lecture with a PPT. At the same time, I am using many pictures, photographs, and things like that to drive home the points I am trying to discuss with you. So I'm not just following only the lecture method, but also I'm presenting the materials I think will stimulate my listeners. So that way we have to use digital contents also into our teaching. And as English teachers, you need to have knowledge of other subjects like ethics, politics, sociology, and other things. So you can integrate these things into your teaching. So educators should learn new content and teach it using new technology. And you can use computer games if it is a language classroom. Even in literature classrooms, you can use films made from the textbooks you are teaching. Film adaptations of the novels or dramas you are teaching. Also, you have to integrate computer-aided terminology that, the kind of terms which are used by the internet technology, borrow them, use them in your teaching. And also, we should research continuously on how to use electronic and digital tools in our teaching. And when we do that, naturally, we can develop our teaching and be very successful with these students. So students also, most of the time when I use technology in the class, some of my students come out with a lot of solutions and things like that. So students can be also integrated in your teaching preparation. You can give part of the lessons to them and ask them to come out with a poster or PPT presentation, integrate them also into your lesson. And when you do some experiment in the class, you can publish that and share with other students. So the best practices need to be shared. And along with pedagogy, andragogy, and pedagogy, you can use a lot of entertainment related contents to drive home the lessons you are teaching, especially in a language classroom. So what are the challenges we have, having given all these ideas about the learning styles of the native students, digital natives, as well as how we can handle them? What are the challenges we have, especially in India? So teachers will always have to adapt material to their particular situation, no matter how carefully they have been designed. So again, customizing the material is one of the challenges. So sometimes you have to add many relevant texts. In order to add the relevant text, you need to do a lot of research and you should have a lot of information with you. So at the end of the day, there is no single package or solution to improve your teaching. So you have to juggle with many ideas, many methodologies, and try to come out with a methodology that works for you and for your students. So how to resolve these challenges? The teacher can design activities in such a way to integrate all the 4 language skills, LSRW skills. And teacher can also provide an appropriate framework for the students to accomplish the communicative competence. So most of our Indian classrooms concentrate on writing skills. We don't give much importance. So writing and reading skills are concentrated more, whereas we give very less or very little or sometimes no importance to listening. And listening is also very important. And speaking skills, unless you generate activities that promote speaking inside the classroom, our students will not communicate outside classroom. Look at this picture. Directly or indirectly, students keep questioning us. So we need to understand what type of question they are asking us. So this is one example. I mean, this is just a kind of picture that shows the questioning nature of students and the kind of challenges we are facing today to satisfactorily answer the questions our students ask. So one method of, now I am coming to the practical session, having discussed a lot of theoretical points and analyzing the need for changing our teaching methodology. I'm trying to give you some method of developing, enhancing your teaching. One method is using questions in your classroom. And I am going to demonstrate this with some examples also. So why questions? Questions generate interest and curiosity on the topic. This I already showed with a quote from Roosevelt. So then questions encourage thinking and brainstorming. When you ask questions, students get engaged. They ask themselves and trying to figure out the answers. Questions provide opportunities for discussion. And when you ask questions, students are motivated to answer them in the class. This will in turn promote speaking. Questions keep learners engaged. So when we ask questions to our students in the middle of our lessons, they will be alert, they will be engaged. They will anticipate also. If a teacher is constantly asking questions to students, students will anticipate questions from the teachers and they will be ready to answer them. Questions reveal gap in understanding. So when you ask very, very sharp, relevant questions, it make the students understand the other side of the problem, or they will have a alternate way of looking at the issue that is being discussed there. Also, finally, questions build a foundation for enhancing knowledge. So when this is, we know when someone is curious and asking questions, he will definitely enhance his knowledge. Look at this picture. I'm going to use this picture to create a very interactive classroom. Look at this picture and tell me what is happening in the picture. Can take a minute. What do you think the picture is about? How many of you agree with me that you can have a 60-minute lesson using only this picture in a language classroom? Okay, so two people have agreed with me. Okay, let us move on. So anyone like to mental luggage? Yeah. Yes, Vinay. Correct. Unable to predict. Overthinking? Yes, of course. Burdening your head. Okay. Thank you for the responses. Let us move on. Burden of self. Yes. Now I am using questions. So I'm using different sets of questions to, like 3 sets of questions to generate a lesson using this picture in my class. So consider yourself my students. So try to answer these questions. Questions that initiate discussion and understanding. So First, when you show the picture and ask them these questions, these are all very basic general questions. Um, do you like this picture? You can respond in the chat box. Um, like for a few minutes, think that you are attending my class and you are responding to me. Is it funny or serious? Does it uh, portray a funny situation or a serious situation? If you are thinking, why do you think it is funny or serious? It is very serious, okay? Yeah, Murugan says it is very serious. Do you understand what is portrayed in the picture? Of course, some of you have already told the answer. And further, we can explore. What do you see on the cart? It's a very huge, enlarged head, isn't it? Why do you think this sculpture is displayed? Again, some, background information. Just visual, try to understand whether they are able to visualize where it is. Where do you think it is? In a park or, okay? So, why do you think the head is so big and bulky? See, the gradation of the question. I start from a very, very general, basic question. I'm moving towards, the difficulty level of the question is increasing. As the difficulty level of the questions increase, the students are made to think more. Without these questions, if you present the picture and ask them to speak about that, maybe maybe 2, 3 students from the class be able to talk for 2 minutes describing the picture. But when we provide with the students with these kind of questions, you create a situation where a lot of information is generated. Then I'm moving on to questions that promote higher order thinking skills. Why do you think the man's head is made so bulky? Is there a purpose? What is the purpose of the sculpture who has made this? Why did he make it? And I'll show the picture once again. Pay particular attention to the leg and the hands. So, is he pulling it with ease or is he struggling? Why do you think the artist is trying to communicate? Sorry, what do you think the artist is trying to communicate through the sculpture? Does the bulk of the head mean the actual size of the head or the heaviness of the thoughts inside the head? So, from looking at this is an art displayed in a park, but how much thinking we can generate, how much language activity we can generate. How do you think the man feels carrying a massive head? Now again, coming back to themselves, have you ever had such a massive head? Asking them whether they experienced any time such heaviness of head. In our lives, we come across many situations where, our heads become very heavy, overloaded with thoughts. Whenever there are some issues, our heads will be overloaded with a lot of negative thoughts rather than positive thoughts. When you have positive thoughts, your head will be much lighter. Now I'm moving to the next level of questioning, critical thinking from higher order. So questions for understanding, questions that generate higher order thinking skills. Then I'm moving towards critical thinking questions that are very important to train our students. I told that one of the core skills of 21st century requirement of our graduates is critical thinking. So how you are taking them to critical thinking? How do you relate the sculpture to a man's life in the modern world. So, do you think only you have this heavy-headedness, or all the people experience this? What's the situation? What do you think is sorry? Who do you think is responsible for making the head so massive and heavy? Is it society? Is it government? Is it your prime minister? Is it your chief minister? Or is it your own making? Is there any connection between a man's thoughts and his life? Have you ever experienced such heaviness in your head? And finally, a last decision making question: is it necessary to minimize or control our thinking to live a lighter, happier life? So, when we create questions from our lessons, so it is not easy to generate questions. You need to spend a lot of time thinking about various aspects and make relating the picture to the daily lives of your own students. Definitely, I believe that when you generate these kind of stimulative materials in a language classroom and use it with your students, definitely you can engage your students, and they will also respond very well. And if you want to, at the end of the day, if you want to give a writing work, you can ask them to write an essay on how they handle their thoughts, or any other related topics you can generate from this, and ask them to do a 500 word or 1000 word essay. You can give some reference materials also, or you can even ask them to extend this from this lesson. You can move to stress management and ask students to refer to some materials, watch some videos from YouTube. You can give the link for those videos and ask them to write an essay on stress management, how you can avoid heavy-headedness in your lives, how you can control the problems, control your overthinking, and think positively to be successful or to be happy in your life. So I am done. So the conclusion is, success in the 21st century requires more than just core academic knowledge, though it is crucial. So academic knowledge, as teachers, our academic knowledge is very, very important. We should have enough knowledge about the subject, language, and what we are going to teach. That's very important. That's why we undergo post-graduation, PhD, and other studies. So set it apart. What are the things that are needed to be successful is that you should be able to collaborate with your colleagues in the department. You should be able to innovate. You should be able to adapt, be self-directed and self-motivated. So no one will motivate you. Maybe you get paid very less in a self-finance college. So that is no motivation for anyone. But as a teacher, you have to motivate yourself, because you have a responsibility towards the students, and be flexible, be creative, and learn a lot of technology, and practice teamwork, and be accountable, both individually and in groups. Then you can be very successful as a teacher. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity. If the organizers, I don't know what is their plan. If you have some question answer session, shall I stop presenting, Jason?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
We will have the question session now. Participants, if you have any questions, you can ask, or type your questions in the chat box.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you for your
Yeah, I'll
wonderful
show you the books. I am
perspective.
sorry, I just closed the presentation. I shall show you the reference books. Give me a minute, Jayashree.
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute. Give me a minute. Let me show the references.
On doubt, sir.
So, learning, teaching, Jim Scrivener, how to teach writing, Jeremy Harmer. Jeremy Harmer is a very good author. You can pick up any books from him. How to Teach English is one of the good books. Then, classroom research in English language teaching in Oman. So we refer to this. Then this one, essays on teaching. Planning lessons and courses, Cambridge book. Handbook for technical writing. This is mostly for engineering writing, technical writing, engineering students. This book is very important if you are interested in including technology, integrating technology, blended learning. It is talking how you can integrate technology and content. This is also another book. E-learning skills, Alan Clark. So this is a very good book, which you can, you need not buy these things. You can ask your department to buy, stack it, 1 or 2 copies each in your, some books are very costly. It will cost you some 2,000, 3,000 rupees each in India. So you can ask the people to buy in the library, then you can refer to it, read it and use them. Okay. Yeah, so I'm ready for the questions.
Hello, sir. This is Justin.
Yeah, so yes.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Tamilmani.
I'm Dr. Tamilmani, sir. Thank you very much for having given us a very lucid presentation, sir.
Thank you. Welcome.
Can you throw light on the mobile-assisted language learning and how best a teacher can make use of the mobile phones for language learning in a kind of ESL situation in India, sir? Please throw some light on it.
Yeah, so, every 5 years, people in ELT come out with some learning technology and people run around them and do a lot of research. And with my experience, what I found is all these technologies don't help much in actual teaching learning process. Most of these technologies, be it computer aided learning and whatever technologies over time we used, were very good to do our research on English language teaching. And mostly these theories helped many teachers to complete their PhDs and do a lot of research. Even 6 months before, I evaluated a thesis from Bharatiyar University, mobile assisted learning. But when I went through the content and things like that, the practical application point of view, it is very challenging. So on the one hand, we have a syllabus. On the other hand, we need to use related technology. How you are going to integrate these two things? Whether there is a need for integrating mobile technology into your classroom, you should be very clear with that. Or are you going to use some apps like Mentimeter or even Ginger? Ginger is a writing app, or Google Classroom. You are providing assignments or small exercises to students while you are teaching in the classroom. If the mobile is allowed to be used in your classroom by the management, you can use it for, checking how far the students are learning the lessons you are teaching. You can give small questions and ask them to respond through Mentimeter or through Google Classroom or through Ginger apps, where they write down what they think or what they feel, their reactions. That way you can do it. Another way is using mobile applications. They can use a lot of ready-made materials, especially listening to a podcast. So what you need to do is you have to research on BBC or Voice of America podcast. take the link, share the link, and ask them to use their mobile and listen to those podcasts or videos. And you can supplement that with a worksheet with questions on that particular podcast. And the next day you can supply the questions and ask them to respond to make sure that they have listened to or they have watched the video link which you have given. So I feel that this method will benefit the students much better than integrating mobile learning as a core method of teaching and learning. It can be used as only a supplementary thing. We don't have that kind of mobile technology to fully integrate language learning so far. Many papers are coming, many people are submitting full-length PhDs. For research purposes, it is okay. You go to a classroom, experiment something, you use an app in a classroom and experiment something, and you come out with a paper. That's fine. But can you do it every day? This is my question. So it's a very challenging thing that way. But you can exploit students, exploit students having this mobile and internet technology by sending links and asking them to watch videos, podcasts, listening to the topics we teach. That can be a supplementary activity that will definitely help in a very larger way in enhancing the language learning. And if anyone from the audience to supplement or give some more ideas regarding mobile learning, you are welcome.
Sir.
Someone else wanted to ask a question whether, two teachers teaching in a classroom for improvement of students in learning. What do you think about this? Yes, sometimes we practice this. It is also good. For example, don't tell anyone. I am not very effective in teaching grammar, but I am very good in teaching listening, reading, and speaking. And don't ask me how do you manage speaking, teaching writing without being effective in grammar. I mean, of course, I can teach grammar, but teaching Arab students grammar is a very bit challenging. So sometimes I ask one of my Arab friends, my colleagues, to come and supplement my class. And they will teach the grammar part and I complement with my writing. I present the writing format and he or she presents the grammar format. And finally, we ask students to write the paragraph or essay accordingly. And it is very effective. So whether there is a need for another teacher to come into your class, how far you collaborate, it's an excellent idea. If you could plan the lesson in advance and two people do the teaching together, it will be really, really good. So if one person is good at, even in literature classes, you can do that. If one particular person is good at teaching theories, another person is good at teaching a fiction, how the teacher can, good at theories, can present the theory first in the classroom, first 20 minutes, explain the theory. Then the application part of the theory on the text can be taught by the next teacher. It will be really good. It's a welcome thing. Prabhakaran, that TESOL thing I did was in Bangalore. I did it because it was a requirement here. Suddenly, our ministry came out with a idea that all the teachers, especially expatriates who have not done, why they made us to do this, because we don't have our courses, MA or MPhil or PhD courses don't have teaching practice. So most of the graduates who come and join the department from the West, they do a MA TESOL or they do MA ELT, where their teaching is assessed and evaluated. So we don't have any such component in our education. So they insisted that, after 28 years of teaching, I went and did the TESOL just for the certificate. And my opinion is that TESOL doesn't help you much in improving your teaching or methodology. The only course I would advise is CELTA, which is taught in India by British Council. You can do it in Thailand also. British Council has the course there. The expenses are same. It is 1 month full-time course. You have to do it full-time. If you have any plan of applying for jobs abroad, you have to do it full-time. The expenses will come around 2 lakhs rupees. And the course is very, very tough, but very, very beneficial. They train you in teaching methodology in an excellent way. So that's the only course I would recommend. All other these courses are, I spend around 30,000-40,000 for my course and another 50,000 for 21 days stay in Bangalore. It's just for getting the certificate. I'm sorry to say this. But the other course I did, ICT from Trinity, London. Sorry, it was one of the best courses, teaching English through technology. That helped me a lot. It was a six months online course, and I used to attend these courses at night, and that helped me to do a lot of work for my department. That helped me to manage the teaching and learning of the entire department. We have 85 teachers in the English department. As only e-learning coordinator, I could manage the whole course for the 2 years during pandemic online with that experience. So, but for that, I would have struggled a lot. So I could manage the whole thing because of that course, Trinity, teaching ICT, information communication technology, teaching languages through technology. Any other questions? So if there aren't any questions, shall we close the session, Jason?
Yes, sir. Shall we wind up the session, sir?
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much for the invitation. I thank each and every one of you for your participation and interaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Justin James, for an enlightening and entertaining presentation on teaching English language to digital natives in the post-pandemic. Sorry for the interruption, sir. Thank you, Professor Justin James, for an enlightening and entertaining presentation on teaching English language to digital natives in the post-pandemic scenario. As you told, we became multitaskers, eliciting performances, and I assure you, every one of us will be enhancing retention. We really admire the 5E concepts in learning methodology. Yes, sir.
There is one question I would like to answer. Is it okay? Yes, sorry for interrupting. That's a very important question. Yes. That's why it is from Sabina. Okay. Yeah. Teachers like us who basically from humanities and arts, how can we find a balance between digital pedagogy and our basic subjects like literature and language? It's a very good question. Yeah. So you can make a very good blending of technology, even if you teach literature. So I developed a lesson on teaching fiction using technology. I can give you an example what I demonstrated through lesson. For example, you are all familiar with the novel Old Man and the Sea, isn't it? So I took that particular fiction, the short novel, and I used the technology to teach a group of students. And it was very, very effective because what I did was I asked the students first to go through the internet, especially Google Pictures, ask them to research on the animals that are named in the novel. Also, collect as many pictures on the events from Google and also the food items that are mentioned in the novel. So I didn't teach them the novel first. First, I asked them to go through the Google and gave them the list and asked them to Google it out and asked them to make posters. So they made digital posters, and each group, I divided the students in groups, and they made 5 posters. And these 5 posters were displayed in the class first. And I asked all the students to go through these posters, and they were trying to look at the pictures, try to understand what exactly the pictures portray or try to communicate. And all the equipment used by Santiago for fishing. Then they went through all these things. Then I asked them to read the novel. They didn't do any teaching at that time. I asked them to simply read the novel. After they completed the reading the novel, after 3 weeks, they came back. Then we started discussing various aspects of the novel. Then I conducted a test. And almost, to tell you frankly, almost all the students scored very high in the test I conducted. Finally, I screened some videos also. There are many videos that are available on internet. If you search sharks eating, the fish, you can see a lot of live videos where fishermen come out with, fully eaten fish. They get only the head of it. Those videos were screened. And later I understood, I learned this in 1988 as an MA student at St. Joseph's Trichy, this particular novel. But I wasn't sure this was a life experience of the author. Ernest Hemingway himself went for fishing, and once when he hooked a marlin and most of the fish was eaten, that picture is there in the internet if you go and search for it. So that was a very good learning experience. And I had a similar experience earlier when I was teaching in Pondicherry Government, Mahi Government Arts College. I was teaching Cat on a Horton Roof. It was a drama, it is very familiar. The first thing I did was I picked up a video, DVD. We had a DVD player at that time in the department. The film, Richard Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. I screened the film first. 2-3 times I screened that film. Then I went to discuss the drama. And that particular semester, my students scored the highest in the university in the drama paper. So therefore, it's, a willingness to work, explore the possibilities. And for anything in literature, you have a lot of digital content, including notes. Definitely, you can enhance your teaching. You can very effectively deliver literature content without speaking much in the class. So this is my experience. You can explore and you can research, prepare materials in such a way, and make your literature class also very enjoyable, very effective. And the learning outcome is also very effective. They perform wonderfully well in the university exam. That's my experience. Thank you. Okay, sorry, Jayshree, you can go ahead.
Thank you, sir. We really admire the concepts 5 E's in learning method, and we learned how to enhance the academic performance of the students as well. We are also getting comfortable with the softwares and computational tools that you have said earlier. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
And it's time for gratitude. Gratitude transforms ordinary into thanksgiving. It turns routine jobs into joy and changes common opportunities into blessings. Here comes Ms. M. Indumati, Assistant Professor, PG and Research Department of English, to propose the vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
A warm good afternoon to one and all present here. It gives me immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks for this one-day international faculty enrichment program. I, on behalf of PG and Research Department of English, Srimad Adavan Arts and Science College, want to thank the management, secretary, principal, vice principals, and deans for their constant support in all our endeavors. I extend our gratitude to our guest speaker, Dr. Rajaraman, for his excellent speech. Thank you, sir. I must mention our deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Justin James, who readily accepted our request in his busy schedule. Thank you, sir. I take immense pleasure in thanking our coordinator, faculty members, technical team, automation unit, and the Department of Visual Communication for their contribution to make this event a great success. I also thank all the participants for attending the program. Once again, I thank you all.
Okay. Thank you. So let me take leave. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.